now, my major push is on getting the HEROES Act passed, because what we see is that without support from the federal government, we don't want state and local governments to have to lay off employees. We don't want the people who are working on our front lines to not be taken care of. I'm a co-sponsor of legislation to ensure that anyone who contracts COVID, it's seen as an occupational exposure, where people shouldn't have to prove how they contracted this virus. And now, as you may or may not be aware of, my focus has shifted almost singularly to pushing back on efforts to send our students and our teachers back into schools when we can't ensure their safety, where there is no federal intervention, where there's no resources to support them, where there's no personal protective equipment to ensure their safety, and they don't have to make that choice. So, I mean, that is just so incredibly egregious. It's been politicized. Our children and our teachers are at risk now. I was probably the only person to speak out initially after the governor released his plan, and I got a lot of pushback. I was probably the first person to speak out when our prison guards in Danbury were going in and calling my office saying they did not feel safe. And we cannot risk people's safety at the expense of jumpstarting the economy. This is not, a binary choice. We can do both. We can make sure that people are safe in the wealthiest nation in the world and still jumpstart the economy. And the fact that people are being given that as the only two options, I think is wrong. I am just, it bothers me when I hear my Republican colleagues just commend everyone for their Herculean efforts during this time. People are showing up, going to work. Our hourly wage employees are still showing up, working overtime, filling in the gaps, leaving their families behind, but they fought against the $600 plus up for unemployment. They don't want family medical leave for these employees. They didn't want hazard pay, if you will, for these employees. So it's not enough to just keep saying thank you. I want to make sure that our workers are protected.